Imagine a ruler so ruthless that she eliminated anyone who stood in her way, even her own family. She rose from a concubine to become the only female emperor in Chinese history. This is the dark and shocking story of Wu Zetian. Before we talk about Wu Zetian's crazy rise to power, we need to step back and look at what the Tang Dynasty was like in the beginning. And trust me, it was messy. The Tang Dynasty had just been founded. On the surface, the empire looked strong, but inside, the royal family was fighting non-stop. Take Emperor Taizong Li Shiming. People love him today, but the way he got the throne, yeah, it was bloody. In the Xuanwumen incident, he literally killed his older brother and his younger brother just to secure his own position. That moment set the tone for everything. Power in the Tang court meant blood, betrayal, and constant backstabbing. And the imperial harem, another battlefield. Concubines and their families fought for influence because winning the emperor's favor meant political power. Some of Emperor Gaozu's concubines even teamed up with princes to take down Li Shiming. Everyone was scheming. Everyone had an agenda. If you wanted to survive, you needed to be smart, ambitious, and absolutely ruthless. And that was the world Wu Zetian was born into. She was born in 624 AD in today's Sichuan. Her name was Wu Zhao. People say she came from a common background, but that's not really true. Her dad, Wu Shiyue, was a successful timber merchant who later became a founding general of the town. Her mom came from a noble Sui dynasty clan, so Wu Zetian grew up with both money and aristocratic blood. But everything changed when her dad died. She was only 12. Suddenly, she and her mother were bullied by her half-brothers. Life became really hard, and that experience planted a seed inside her. She learned one thing early. If you want control over your life, you need power. At 14, she entered a palace as the concubine of Emperor Taizong. Her title was low. She had no political influence, but she was different from the other girls. She didn't just try to look pretty. She watched, she learned, she studied how power moved in the court. There's a famous story. Taizong once asked her how she would tame a fierce horse. She said, "First, I'd whip it. If that doesn't work, I'd smash its head with a hammer. If it still doesn't submit, I'd kill it." Taizong was shocked, but that answer revealed her character: smart, fearless, and willing to do anything to win. And that was just the beginning. Wu Zetian's rise from a low-ranking concubine to the only female emperor in Chinese history wasn't luck. It was intentional, calculated, and often brutal. After Taizong died in 649 AD, Wu Zetian followed the tradition. Concubines without children were sent to Buddhist nunneries, so she became a nun at a temple. But give up? Not her. Back when she served Taizong, she had already developed a secret relationship with his son, Li Zhi, the future emperor Gaozong. 1 year later, Gaozong visited the temple. They reconnected. Feelings came back. With the help of Empress Wang, Wu Zetian returned to the palace as a higher-ranking concubine, and from that moment, she moved fast. She gained Gaozong's full trust. When she went after her rivals, she accused the consort Xiao of witchcraft, and then she targeted Empress Wang. In 654 AD, Wu Zetian gave birth to a baby girl. The baby died soon after, and Wu Zetian blamed Empress Wang. Most historians believe Wu Zetian killed her own child to frame the empress. Brutal? Yes, but it worked. Gaozong was devastated. He was furious, and he wanted Empress Wang gone. But the biggest obstacle wasn't the emperor. It was Zhang Wuji, one of the most powerful men in the empire. He opposed removing Empress Wang, so Wu Zetian destroyed him. She used false accusations, bribed officials, built a network of supporters. In the end, Zhang Wuji was exiled and forced to commit suicide. His allies were wiped out. And in 655 AD, Wu Zetian officially became empress, but she didn't stop. When Gaozong's health declined, she took over state affairs. Soon, the court called them the Two Sages. Anyone who opposed her, like Chancellor Shang Guanyi, was executed. When Gaozong died, she became Empress Dowager. Her sons became puppy emperors. If they listened, they stayed on the throne, but if they didn't, she replaced them. For years, she ruled behind the scenes, eliminating anyone in her way. She relied on secret police, like Lai Junchen and Zhou Xing. These two were infamous for torture and false accusations. Thousands died in those purges. Finally, in 690 AD, she made her biggest move. She forced her son to abdicate and declared herself emperor of the new Zhou dynasty. She was 67 years old, and she became the only female emperor in all of Chinese history. Wu Zetian's rule was complicated. She could be brilliant and terrifying. On the positive side, she promoted talent like no emperor before her. She didn't care if you were noble or a commoner. If you were good, she promoted you. She expanded the imperial exams, allowed people to recommend themselves. Many future stars of the Tang Golden Age rose under her. But at the same time, she ruled through fear. She encouraged the secret reports, anonymous accusations, and the secret pleas she trusted. Especially Lai Junchen were infamous for torture and made-up crimes. There's one famous story. Zhou Xing once explained a torture method using a giant heated vat. Lai Junchen listened, smiled, and said, "Great idea! Now you are the prisoner." Zhou Xing confessed instantly. That's how terrifying Wu Zetian's system was. Still, she improved people's lives. She invested in farming, cut taxes, encouraged the land reclamation, and helped the economy grow. The population increased. Borders became secure. Society stabilized. She also leaned heavily on Buddhism. Confucian scholars hated the idea of a woman ruling, but Buddhism was more open to female authority. So she built temples, sponsored scriptures, even claimed to be the reincarnation of Maitreya Buddha. But temple building cost money, a lot of money, and it pressured the people. In the end, her rule was full of contradictions: a visionary and a tyrant, a reformer and a dictator, a leader who strengthened the empire while killing thousands. If you want one story that shows the darkness of Wu Zetian's era, look at the tragedy of Princess Taiping. Wu Zetian's only daughter, Princess Taiping, was smart, ambitious, just like her mother. Wu Zetian adored her, but that love eventually became a threat. His first husband, Xue Shao, came from a noble family. They were happy. They had 4 kids. But when Xue Shao's brother joined a rebellion, Xue Shao got dragged into it. Wu Zetian didn't protect him. She let the system do its work. He was beaten and starved to death in prison, while Taiping was pregnant. After that, Princess Taiping changed. She became deeply involved in politics, helped her mother eliminate enemies. She even assassinated Wu Zetian's lover, Xue Huaiyi. But as her power grew, so did her ambition. She began dreaming of the throne herself. Everything exploded in 705 AD. Wu Zetian was old and very sick. Taiping teamed up with Zhang Jianzhi and launched the Shenlong coup. They forced Wu Zetian to step down, restored the Tang Dynasty. Wu Zetian died later that year, but the struggle didn't end. Princess Taiping kept fighting against her nephew, Li Longji, the future emperor Xuanzong. In 713 AD, Li Longji struck first. He surrounded her supporters and forced Princess Taiping to commit suicide. This whole chain of events, the death of her husband, the political murders, the coup, and finally her own suicide, shows the real cost of power in Wu Zetian's world. When ambition is everything, even family means nothing. Wu Zetian's life was unbelievable. She went from a powerless young concubine to the only female emperor in Chinese entire history. She was brilliant, fearless, and incredibly ambitious. She expanded the empire, promoted talent, strengthened the economy, and set the stage for the Tang Golden Age. But she also ruled through fear. She killed rivals, officials, even family members. So what was she? A hero? A villain? A visionary? A tyrant? There's no simple answer, but one thing is certain. She was one of the most powerful, complex, and unforgettable leaders the world has ever seen. And I will leave you with one question. Could you survive in a palace ruled by her?